Hello viewers and welcome to MiniCTM Sandstone. Today I want to show you how I've done a few things mapping wise. This by no means is going to be an elaborate tutorial of how you can do it yourself, but hopefully this will pique your interest in some of the different methods that I use, and you might get some interesting ideas for ways you can do it yourself. So first of all, we want to create a new world, and I want creative mode. But we're going to go in and we're going to use a super flat. No structures, allow cheats on, bonus chest off. The reason we want to do super flat is because you can customize. And with our customization, I like to start fresh. And this is partially probably why I have such difficulty with natural mob spawns. There's not all the caves, and this might not be how I generate my maps in the future. But what I like to do is I like to go into the presets and maybe find one that does something that I kind of understand, because some of this can be confusing. So I like to look for something that's very simple, like here, redstone ready, and it says 2, 7, 3 by 1, 52 by 24, 2. And some of these I know, like 24 I think is sandstone. I could be wrong. 12 is sand. 1, I don't know. But if we go use preset, it's going to tell us. It's 52 sandstone, layer 3 or 3 layers of. I believe 3 layers of stone and 1 of bedrock. So we could go back to presets and come up in here, and we know it's 1 stone and 52 sandstone. And this must be the bedrock. So really, you don't have to understand all this. I'm sure you can look it up. But let's say 10 of lava, and I believe lava is 11, I think, and we don't need this layer of stone, so we can actually just wipe that out and then press enter, or use preset, excuse me, and there we go. Lava and bedrock. Done, done, create world. And the beauty of the flat world means one of the main rules, oh, I'm in the lava. One of the main rules of the MiniCTM is that you don't leave the boundaries of the map. Well, because this is a flat world and because I told it what to generate, it's going to generate that forever. You will never be able to leave the boundaries of the map. Now I would like to attempt to show you kind of how I did that lava. And we're going to use a brush. And these are all world edit commands. This isn't going to be a tutorial of how to get world edit installed. I imagine there's got to be lots of tutorials out there for that. So do look those up. And world edit's kind of weird. You got to have it installed with some other things to make it work, but it's worth it. If you're ever not sure what commands how to use a command, start to type it in and press enter, and it's going to give you an error. And you can use that error, let me press T here, to kind of figure out what it's expecting. In this case, I know it's brush, smooth, not smooth, what am I saying? We'll use that later. Sphere, because we want a ball, and then we want the material. And in this case, let's use anything. We'll use 1, I believe that should be stone. And then the size, 6. And that's all good. And what this is going to do, actually, to use a brush, you have to have an item. It should have gave me an error. So let's just press T, press up, press enter. Now brush is equipped to this. And if I click it, that's what it's going to do. And I think, yeah, it will even replace the lava blocks below. And we can do an undo. And for world edit, I believe it's 2 slashes, undo. It's kind of strange. Kind of strange. We don't want it to do this. We don't want the stone up above. And we do want the stone down below, but we don't want it to be solid. We want it to be speckled. And so it doesn't need to be this big. And so here's what we're going to do. Very first thing, let's get rid of that. The next command we're going to do is we're going to do mask. And we're going to go ahead and mask 10, 11, and 1. And what that's going to do is it means that the brush I use is only going to affect lava, lava, or stone. And I do believe 11 is active lava. One of them is active lava, one of them is standard lava. I'm going to verify that right now. Yes, you see here, because we have too many items installed, you can mouse over these and you see that static lava is 11 and the other lava is 10. And we're also masking 1, and this is a great way. I know in the latest version of Minecraft, they're getting away from using these ID values, and so the fact that I have a lot of these memorized is going to be useless, like 49 is obsidian, 24 is sandstone, plus the little damage value for the variations. What's another one? I believe sponge is 19? Yes. It's not going to help me that I have these memorized, but in this case, for the current version of World Edit, it's helpful to know. But you can always just come in here and mouse over and kind of see what they are. Now we have a mask applied to this brush. So right now what you'll see is if I right-click, it is only replacing the lava and the stone. If I go here, it's still replacing the stone. You can't see it. If I actually... There's another awesome brush command called mat, which is short for material. Let's switch it to 19. Now my mask is still set to these, so if I click this, it's going to replace those. But it's not set to sponge. So if I set my mat here to 49, so now I am painting with obsidian, and I right click, it's only going to replace these because that's my mask. This is not my mask. Let's undo all this. Okay, back to square one. Now the next command that we need to use to set up our brush for what we want is a little more complicated. It's still matte, but I don't want one material. Did you know you could use 2 materials? I'm going to play around here because the way to type it, I haven't done it for a while. I don't remember, so I'm going to figure out how to do it. There's going to be a quick cut. You'll barely notice, and then I'll explain what it's doing. Okay, I figured it out. So, follow my mouse here. We have matte for material, we have 1% 1, which is stone, and 5% 10, which is lava. Now, I know that 1 plus 5 does not equal 100. It doesn't need to. You could say 10% and 90%. You could make it equal 100. When you don't have it total 100, it will do more of a ratio. So it will say for every 6, I believe is how it would work. For every 6, 5 of them should be lava, 1 of them should be stone. And it's randomized. I'll show you another use for this after. But what we're going to do is if we right-click on here, is it's going to kind of take up, it's going to fill in random locations with stone. Now this is a size 6 brush, so also underneath, there's going to be some random stone that when I do the next step, those aren't going to go away. And you'll notice if I right click, some of the stone disappears. That's because our mask is set also to stone and lava, both types of lava, because we're going to have both types of lava here after I do the next step. And you don't have to do that, but what would happen is if you didn't have the mask set to stone, then every time you click it would be adding more, because it wouldn't affect the stone, it would only affect the lava. So that would be good actually if you wanted to make an area with a material more dense. Like I want to keep clicking here and I want it to keep adding, and then I only want to click on the outskirts a little bit. That sort of thing would work. But I don't want that. I just want an even spread. So next I'm simply going to type mask 1. And that's mask for the stone. I think you could even type mask stone. And then I want material, and I want, let me try something because I haven't done this before. Let's try material 11. If I come close and middle click this guy, it doesn't give me anything. I don't know if this is 10 or 11. Let's try. What happens there? No, that's not what I want. So let's go to our undo. What I'm trying to do here is figure out if there's a shortcut to do the same end result. So let's go material 10. Maybe 10 is the one that's moving. No, that's not going to work either. Okay, so let me show you what I actually did to get the lava that I have in sandstone. Okay, so it's really complicated. We have our mask set to stone, and our material is going to be set to 0, which is air. So now if we right-click, it's only going to replace the stone with air. Now, right now this doesn't quite look like how I had it. It looks a little bit derpy, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. Basically, these blocks are not updating, so the hole's going to stay there. Now there's a chance occasionally when you're with lava, it's got those little particles that pop up. There's a chance that those could force an update. I'm not sure of all the specific mechanics. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. But one thing that can update it, and in the case with sandstone, I actually placed a stone along an object and kind of built it out. So I had a stone over this, and then I broke it, and that forced an update. But I'm wondering if I can trick an update. I'm wondering if I can replace lava with lava in order to force it to update. Okay, that actually does not work. I have my brush set to 10 and my mask set to 10, and right-clicking, basically just replacing it doesn't update. And why would it update if replacing the stone with air? I don't know why I would think that. So what I've done is I used this command, and I'm probably using it wrong. You could probably just do sphere 1 1. I did sphere 1 1 1 1. That obviously does something slightly different. But basically, if you force an update by placing it here, it kind of checks the status, and the lava will fill in. And so if you do that to everywhere, and I'm sure there's another way. There's got to be. Honestly, you could probably select a region. You could probably select a point here and select a point here, fill it with stone, and then break it. Or maybe fill it with sand. I bet that would work. Let's try that. So bear with me here, because I haven't used World Edit for a while, honestly, and I'm kind of looking up these commands as I go. So the first command we're going to want to use is position 1. That's POS 1. And then we're going to fly way over here. And we'll do position 2. And then we want to fill this with sand. And I'm not sure if it is as simple as fill 12. Fill, block, radius, depth. No, let me look it up. Fill is a command to fill a hole somehow. What we want is set, which will use the region we have selected and the block that we have selected it, 12. Aha, perfect. Now you will have technically a block of sand somewhere at the bottom of your lava pit, but look, it just updated it. And let's zoom in so we don't see the holes. And you get this cool, interesting, randomized pattern. That, with the stone, slowly building it off bit by bit by bit, is to update it, is how I got the lava in sandstone. And now we just discovered a new way to do it. That's pretty cool. I would also like to take some time. I think we have some time. I can show you how I made some of the other structures in sandstone. The map's kind of loading in all funny now, but I want to talk to you about a few of these things. Now that you kind of have an idea of how the brush works, I want to show you some of the things in closer detail, and maybe you can kind of see how I did it. I don't claim to think that this is anything fantastic, but I do think it's interesting. I do like how it came out. And basically, what I did was I started off with a brush that was a sphere and size 6. And I use a smaller size as I kind of work on the tops of these. And basically, I'm just putting down globs of sand. And the reason I do globs of sand is because when you put another glob of sand up, it will be affected by gravity. So it makes this kind of gradual thing. Then I'll go with the same brush. It has another option. Instead of sphere, it's called smooth. And you can kind of go over top of this, and it'll kind of help make it look not so a bunch of balls together. Because if you do it, it will just look like a bunch of spheres of... You can kind of see it. Like right here, how it's... You got to look closely because I kind of went over it, I think, fairly well. And after it's sand, then what I will do is I will typically jump into MC Edit, and change all the sand into something else. Quite often I like to use sponge because it stands out. And then what I will do is I will set my mask to 19 for sponge, and I will go along with the brush, and you can see how it's this end stone, and then up here it's just sandstone. And then I will usually toss it into MC Edit one more time, select the whole region, and change any remaining sponge into something else. That way you don't kind of start digging through there and find a bunch of whatever. Now, something amazing about single player commands, with all the issues that I have with it replacing default commands and making some of the commands that should work, that I'm used to working in the other version of Minecraft not working, it has this amazing no clip. And it's wonderful because you can do this. And this is an example of an airbrush, actually. So what I did was I had this all was solid, and with a brush, I would just kind of click, 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 click. Now that's not specifically how I built this area. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm remembering that is how I built parts of that area over there. I guess I shouldn't be punching because, oh, there's going to be a hole there forever. No. This actually, I built the opposite way, and it was interesting. You should always try different things. What I did for this one was I actually built the structure out of a material, most likely sponge, by popping spheres all along and then smoothing it out. Because the thing about tunnels like this, when you're underground and you're clicking with a smooth brush, it doesn't work because it's trying to smooth out whatever's at the top. So I built this out of the ground. I built it above ground, maybe even in a different map. It's been a while. And I made the shape of it, and then I smoothed it out, and then I put it underground, submerged it, and I replaced it all with air, thus making the shape. Then for this area in particular, let's see if you can notice. There's a lot of randomization. I did not do this by hand. Okay? I set a mask to the material here. It was most likely probably sandstone. And then I said a small percentage of endstone and a small percentage of soul sand. And I just kind of went through with the brush, right click, right click, right click, right click, right click, right click, click. And I went so that as I got about here, I futzed with the percentages. I kind of increased the percentage of endstone, and I'm not sure if I increased the percentage or kept it the same of the sandstone. And then as I went deeper, I kind of messed with it a little more. So there's a randomization to all of this, and it gets more intense the deeper you get. So there's this gradual change that hopefully gives an effect, a feeling as you're going through it, but should be subtle enough that you don't even really notice it's there. So that would be an example of the little touches that we can add as map makers that kind of give part of that to that feeling of something good's going on here. So I like something about it, but you don't quite know what. They call that the je ne sais quoi. That's the French term for it. And yeah, but I want to, do I have time? I'll have to check my time. Do I have time to show you the obsidian towers? Yeah, looks like we got plenty of time. I'm proud of this area, and this area is actually older than everything else, because this was actually from the original sandstone, and I liked it so much that I just copied and pasted. I made some alterations. I kind of fixed it up here and there. I added the randomness to the lava. I'll show you how I made these. But basically, it's a bunch of spires, very similar to how I made this wall, how I made that path, how I made this mound, except they're hollow. And it's actually quite simple to do. And then once I had them hollowed out, I just I walked around with a brush with replacing things with air to kind of tunnel through some places. And also I did a lot of hand carving. And all these bridges were actually hand built. And I kind of established a pattern. And then I'm like, okay, I want another bridge here. And so I established that pattern. And then I'm like, how did I do it? And then I flew over to one of them that I did right. And then I looked at it. And then I came over here. And then by the time I was here, I forgot how I had it already. And then I came over here and took a screenshot. I did a lot of it. And I tried to be consistent. I think consistency is important. And I really like how it came out. This part I did by hand as well. And I actually did and redid it like a few times to get it quite right. And I just love it because it's these discs and it looks like they're smashed into the side. Okay, but let's jump into an empty world, and I'll make one of these spires just to give you an idea of another way to use World Edit. And I love the creeper entrance. Okay, the first thing we're going to need is a brush. I'm going to use a brush. It's going to be a sphere. We're going to use 13, which should be gravel. We'll find out if I'm right or not. And size 6, which is the largest size you can use in World Edit with single player commands. I believe you can up it if you're running this on a bucket server. I think that's possible. And I did set it to high noon, and I also have gamma right on just so we don't lose the darkness. And this should just make... Let's see. Do I still have a mask on? Mask disabled. Okay, so it remembered. It's been my experience, oh gosh, that it doesn't remember that sort of thing. So here we have gravel. And the other thing to keep in mind, this is sandstone and it's quite the distance down. But because we have not set a mask to not use this, it's actually going into it. It should be. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me check that out. Did it go below? Yes. Yeah, that's how I expect it to behave. And you might not want that. You might want this to be obsidian, or you might want this to be bedrock or something. So you can actually do masks in reverse. Mask, oh, we gotta have the mask, not sandstone. I believe that's how it works. Now if we go like this and we look underneath, it's not going to have anything. I'm not sure if you can do nots and yeses at the same time. Comma 0. Yes, mask 0, but don't mask. No, it gets confused. So we'll go back to that and we're fine. And let's do no clip. No clip. Must be flying. I think I'm flying. Okay. Derpy is derpy. No clip. That way if we go like this, it doesn't matter. All right. So now we have the not sandstone. And here's what we do. We go like this, and we build our pillar, however large we want. Doesn't matter. But this is our pillar. And this part is tedious. And I kind of enjoy it for that reason. But you can also go spam it. The problem is if you don't have a very powerful computer, well, maybe not very powerful. If you don't have a decently powered computer, it might not work as well. You might find that all of a sudden it locks up or freezes. And also if you go straight up or if you do too much, you'll notice you get just very sheer side, which might not be what you want. And you're also going to want to touch this up with a smooth brush. And because it's gravel, it's going to all kind of fall down. So this will really give you a towery feel. And then if you want to try to make the base larger, that's where you're going to run into the possible issue of getting clumps that just look like that. And so if you really just want to fine tune it, you can also switch to a smaller size, and you don't have to redo the whole brush. You can just type /size. No, you can spell it right too. Size 2. That's like that. You can do size 1. For one of the next steps, we're going to need a size. We can go with a size 3. Since this is a very large thing, we're going to go size 3, and we're going to go mask, gravel, and we're going to change our material, which I haven't done yet, so I can't use the up key. Material, and what do we want to build this out of? Let's do, well, we could just use obsidian. That's not obsidian. We could just use obsidian. And I have a smaller size here, so that's what it's going to do, right? But basically what I'm doing is I'm placing a hardened shell on this thing. And again, this might be one of those things that's easier to do some other way. I don't know. This is the way that I actually built the obsidian towers in sandstone. Let me go ahead and finish this up, and I'll show you what I do next. Do keep in mind that you can also just hold down right click and drag. However, again, if you have a slower computer, this may not work. So now we have a bunch of gravel with obsidian. Now the obsidian doesn't go all the way through. And I mean, that should be obvious to you because we switched our size, our brush size, to something very smaller. So what we're going to do is we're just going to break in here to get to the nuggety center. And then, can you guess what I'm going to do? If we go mask, well, actually, we have mask on gravel currently. So let's just change our material to 0. And we have no reason to use a tiny size. Let's go up to our max again, 6. And then we're just going to eat away at this gravel. Tear it out. And you could even use a smaller brush to kind of carve little shapes in here. In my Obsidian Spires Dungeon 3, I do not have it all hollowed out like this. There's lots of pathways and parts that are filled in and that sort of thing. And then you got this. You just fill it with whatever hate you want your players to try to battle with, and you're good to go. And look, instantly, bats, because in actuality, it's really dark in here. So they just spawned instantly, because we just made a place for them. Because out here, there's no caves for them to be in. That's the only place in this entire map that they can spawn, so they made sure to spawn there. So just quickly, as I mentioned before, until I kind of get to play through some of the areas that I haven't been to yet, I won't really know what other small changes I want to make. For the most part, I've done all the changes that I can until I get to play through those areas and really fine-tune them. I've updated all the spawners with new spawners. If anything spawns from these guys, it will show their name. I've made that change, and just let's kind of fly through here a little, just give you an idea. If we stay within the solid, let's turn on our light. You can kind of see I got lots of little chambers. Here's actually the last chamber. It goes all the way up, and lots of little goodies hidden, and you can see all the spawners. Yay, spawners, creeper spawners, how wonderful, right? You love creeper spawners, don't you? But I hope you enjoyed. I wanted to make sure to have a good mix of mapping and playthrough, so I wanted to make sure my next video was mapping. And I figured, oh, there's a place that I need to replace a spawner. One of the ways I made sure that I updated all my spawners is I replaced them with wool, and then I replace the wool with the updated one. That way I make sure I don't miss any. And obviously I've missed one, so I got to remember to get that. But yeah, I wanted to give you another little view into the mapping portion, and I thought it might be interesting to see some little bit of world edit. I am by no means an expert. There's also a great tool out there called Voxel Sniper. If you're interested in this sort of mapping, you definitely want to take a look at those. There's some great tutorials out there too, and they are very powerful. Very, very powerful. You can do much more incredible things than this. I was impressed that I was able to do this, and I was very happy with the results. and you look out there, there is some crazy cool stuff you can do. So do check those out if you have an interest in that sort of thing. But that's going to do it for this video. So this has been bRanN. I will see you next video. Have a great day.